Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Push Square. Happy New Year. I thought I'd kick off 2019 with a video looking at the upcoming PlayStation 4 exclusives and whether they're likely to release this year at all. Now, Sony has announced a lot of games, as we know. It no longer has the kind of element of surprise on its side anymore. But how many of these games are going to come out over the next 12 months? Well, Sony has been keeping a lid on its release dates of late, and that means that it can be hard to predict when a lot of these games are actually going to deploy. If you look back at last year, it dated both God of War and Detroit Become Human within a few months of them actually arriving in stores, and there's a possibility that history could repeat itself here. So in this video I'm going to get into whether a bunch of games are going to release in 2019, my opinion. Please share your opinions in the comment section below. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and with all that said, let's get into it. So I'm going to do this video alphabetically, and that means that the first game on the list is Blood and Truth. Now this is London Studios' gangster PSVR exclusive, and it's actually been taking a bit of a hiatus of late. I don't think we saw the game at all in 2018 outside of the odd demo at conventions like E3 and Gamescom. I think Sony's virtual reality headset has really found a new lease of life over the holidays, and that's due to great pricing and also a killer lineup of software towards the tail end of 2018, and I think it's really important that PlayStation keeps that stream of top-notch content coming, and considering that PSVR Worlds released 2 years ago now, over 2 years ago, I've got to imagine that Blood and Truth is on track for 2019, so yeah, I think this one is likely to come out this year. So the next game is a game called Concrete Genie. Now, as we all know, Sony's first party output has been great for a decade now, but there was a period during the PlayStation 3's later years where it was pumping out some really incredible indie-esque titles that really pushed the envelope creatively. Now, it's stepped away from a lot of that, and smaller publishers like Annapurna Interactive have really picked up the reins, but games like Concrete Genie prove that it still has an eye for unique experiences. This is effectively a painting puzzler where you create animated murals, and it's the sophomore effort from a developer called Pixel Opus, which is made up of a group of students, I believe. Now, the date has already been announced as the spring, and I think if it doesn't hit that, it'll definitely be out around the summer, so I think 2019 is a lock for Concrete Genie as well. So the third game is Days Gone, and this was announced alongside both God of War and Marvel's Spider-Man, two titles which are obviously already out, making it feel like Days Gone has been kind of stuck in development hell in a way. Now, to be fair, this isn't developer Sony Ben's fault. The game was due out last year, but Red Dead Redemption 2 was dated towards the end of last year as well, and Sony decided to delay it into February. Then a bunch of games were announced for the same date. Anthem was one, and Sony was forced to push Days Gone back again into April. So my opinion is that Days Gone is probably already finished, or at least close to finished. I think it's definitely going to hit its 26th of April release date, and I think the positive thing here is that with the developer aiming for the end of last year, it's had like loads of time to really polish the campaign up and get it as good as it could be. So when this comes out, it should be really ready to go, and I think it's definitely coming out on 26th of April. So the next game is Dreams. Now, Dreams is one of the PlayStation exclusives that I'm personally most looking forward to, and it's nice to see that after 2 years of false promises, its beta has actually come out. It's actually out for some people now, and another batch of people will get in it this week that I'm recording it. This has clearly been a challenging project for Media Molecule, but you have to remember that there's no blueprint for the type of game it's building, and the Guildford developer isn't even that big to begin with. Now, I reckon that the beta means that the project is probably nearing completion, and while there clearly still be things that it needs to fix, tweak and improve based on player feedback, I reckon that it will probably be ready for release sometime this year. I would guess around August or September, but we'll have to wait and see. Definitely 2019 though. So the fifth PS4 exclusive then is Death Stranding. Now, Craze creator Hideo Kojima has said that this game will come out before the Olympics, which are obviously scheduled to take place in Tokyo in 2020, and there's been a hell of a lot of chatter that it will be ready this year, but its E3 2018 gameplay trailer still looked very early to me. Now, I fully believe all of the speculation that Kojima Productions is ahead of schedule and that the title's coming together quicker than anticipated, but I just can't see this one coming until 2020. You've got to remember that this is a new IP from a new developer, and while it was announced a long time ago, when it was first shown in 2016 I think, the developer didn't even have an engine to work with back then. Of course, it's since partnered with Guerrilla Games, and like I say, I'm sure that it's really coming together quickly, but I think the craziness is going to be kept on ice for another year yet. So Erica is a game that no one talks about, but it's a game that I've actually played. I played it a couple of years ago at a Sony preview event, and I thought it was really cool. It left an impression on me. This is a game that's kind of part of Sony's PlayLink initiative, so you can play it with a smartphone, but it also works with a DualShock 4 controller, at least it did when I played that demo a few years ago. And it's effectively an FMV adventure game where you make choices to kind of manipulate the story. It's very tactile, and it looks really polished when I played it, but it kind of wasn't mentioned throughout 2018 at all. I think, though, that it's probably coming out this year. It feels like it should be ready to come out this year, and I think if Sony's going to continue pushing PlayLink throughout 2019, this is going to be one of those flagship games in that lineup. So yeah, I think this one is coming out in 2019 as well. Show me someone who doesn't love everybody's golf. It's a game for everybody, after all, the clue's in the name. Look, following its nifty PS4 entry, Claphams is once again collaborating with Japan Studio on a PSVR adaptation of the happiest sports series ever created. I think the virtual reality format means that it's probably going to have to be quite different to the title from 2 years ago, and there's a new sort of motion control hitting mechanic that they're going to use to replace the traditional triple click format of previous entries. But look, Claphams has been making everybody's golf games for over 2 decades now, and this has already been confirmed for a 2019 release. It's definitely coming out at some point over the summer. Okay, so the next game, Ghost of Tsushima. Now, it has been a hell of a long time since Infamous Second Son and Infamous First Light released, but as developers consistently like to remind us, making new intellectual properties is tough. Now, I'd expected Ghost of Tsushima to be extremely polished at E3 2018, but it actually looked kind of rough. It was impressive, don't get me wrong, but it seemed earlier than I'd expected, and as such, I'd be surprised if this love letter to Samurai Cinema made it out in 2019. I just don't think there's any real rush here. There is speculation that, along with Death Stranding and The Last of Us Part 2, which we'll get to in a minute, this could be a cross-gen title. I think stranger things have happened, that's definitely a possibility. But I really think that the craziest of all would be this coming out in the next 12 months, because from what has been shown so far, it doesn't feel ready to me. The penultimate game, and probably the most important game on this list, is of course The Last of Us Part 2, and look, I don't think Sony's going to be putting any pressure at all on Naughty Dog to get this game out this year. Now, there has been some speculation online, particularly this week, that Naughty Dog is targeting 2019, and I can certainly believe that. Behind closed doors, it probably is looking at a 2019 release date, but realistically, knowing what we know about game development, is it really going to make it? I just can't see it. The vertical slice that they showed at E3 2018 was some seriously impressive stuff, and to hit that target quality across the entire campaign is going to take like a Herculean effort from the studio. Can it do it? I mean, yeah, it can. We're talking about one of the best developers in the world here. But I just don't expect it to be in any kind of rush. Like I was saying about Ghost of Tsushima, could this be cross-gen with the PS5? Probably. It's certainly a possibility. Whatever the case, I don't think The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out this year. I think it's coming out in 2020. And the final game on this list is kind of an anticlimax because it's MLB The Show 19. Now we have to include it because it is a PS4 exclusive. It's a series that I really like, but it doesn't really need to be in this video because of course it's coming out in 2019. Sony San Diego has already confirmed the 26th of March release date. There's some kind of speculation over the cover athlete's new team. Bryce Harper is currently a free agent, and it feels like whatever team he picks is going to play into the marketing campaign of this particular game. But is it coming out in 2019? I mean, of course it is. It'll come out on 26th of March ahead of the new baseball season starting, and yeah, there's no real debate here, is there? So which PS4 exclusives do you think will release in 2019? Which of the aforementioned Sony titles are you most looking forward to? Tell us what you think's coming out and when in the comments section. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation content. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching.